Welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. D Oracle, and I decided to do this video at this particular time because I am currently about to stick myself in the arm. So, today's video is going to be about why I got the COVID vaccine. And a lot of people, I took a break from social media for, I don't know, a certain amount of weeks. It was probably about a month, maybe a month and a half. Went back on, and here everybody was complaining about the COVID vaccine, and I gotta stick myself every day. So, it's pretty much how it looks almost when it's done. Part 2. Okay, so now that I'm all hooked up on the machine, I'm going to tell you guys today a little bit, well, a lot about why I got the COVID shot. So, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. D Oracle. Make sure if you like this video, you click that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Click on the bell so you'll be notified whenever I upload new videos. So, I'll be very open about me. I am a dialysis patient. And so that's one illness in my life that I have to treat myself for 4 days a week. And I'm managing this treatment by doing it at home. I have my own specific schedule, and I can be comfortable, relax, and make these YouTube videos. So here is why I got the COVID vaccine. One of the main reasons is, of course, because of my precondition, and another reason is because of my daughter. She sat me down and she said, "Mom, you did say that there were going to be 2 mutations, or that there were going to be 2 more viruses, 2 more viruses, the COVID virus." And she said one had came out. She said it was called Delta. And I hadn't been watching the news or keeping up with different things. I've been just listening to my 80s music and my LMA. And so I said, well, I didn't know anything about it. And I did do divination with my own spirits about the COVID virus. And I will tell you that the information they gave me was that COVID isn't COVID. COVID ain't COVID. What does that mean? Well, as a psychic medium, I definitely picked up a few things about COVID to begin with, which was, 1, COVID was something that was coming from the earth. 2, trees. I don't know, I just felt something about trees. 3, I felt something about pollution, like, I don't know, I just felt like the air was dirty. So with that, I was like, Spirit, what are you saying? Going back upon my research, which I will leave that video in the comment section, which explains everything I found. But one of the things that I noticed was that the oil war that we had was part of it. And if you go back and you study how the Spanish flu pandemic happened, at that time, they did the same thing as Russia, China, India, as well as the U.S. and other countries who were involved in this oil war right before the pandemic. They did the same thing, which was they pumped out a whole bunch of oil, and then everyone got sick. So COVID is really one of the aftermaths of petroleum processing, okay? When petroleum is dug up from the earth, we are digging up the blood of the earth, which contains our ancestors and the decomposition of all of the people who have been buried beneath the earth. Also contains trash, not just ancestors, but ancient, type of animals and whatnot that died. They're buried beneath the earth, and the earth uses that to constantly replenish itself. And so because we have definitely violated some of the laws of nature, viruses that live deep beneath the earth have been dug up in petroleum processing. So I'm going to leave that video down in the comment section below, but it causes a lot of pollution that makes people really sick. And a lot of the areas who had the most sick people and the most deaths have some of the highest rates of pollution. And even before COVID, they had the highest rates of respiratory illnesses, okay? I don't just get psychic insights and report them, but I actually test my spirits and I go and do the research, okay? And I confirm what they're saying before I tell people these things. But you have to do your homework, so I just wanted to let you know what COVID ain't COVID means. Thank you. So I'll explain that in a few minutes. But my daughter was like, she explained it as a domino effect. And she was like, I can't lose you because if you get sick or something happens to you, then of course I won't have my backbone and my support. And I thought about what she said, and she made a really good point. And I thought to myself, well, if there was any other reason besides my own precondition that would influence me or motivate me to get the vaccine, it would be so that I could still be here for my kids. That's why I'm doing the dialysis in the first place. So I definitely felt that the COVID vaccine, the way she explained it, made a lot of sense because of this third reason, which was finances. So I'll just go a little bit more into each thing. Of course, you know that I'm a psychic medium. And so one of the things that is really crazy is that throughout all of my illness, which I became sick with chronic kidney disease when I was 17 years old, I still was able to accomplish my goals of being a psychic medium. Hold on. Making sure, oh shoot, I gotta watch these pressures. Now, I definitely feel like when it comes down to being a psychic medium, I've been able to do a really good job at that. But sometimes my illness, which is my dialysis, it affects the way that I'm able to receive spirit messages. For instance, if my blood becomes really dirty because I haven't received dialysis, some of those spirit messages get kind of muffled. Another thing is that some of my levels go up and down, like calcium and potassium, just to name a couple. And so when my calcium is really, really low, and yours too, it affects the brain and it affects the way that you're able to discern spirit messages, okay? So if you have some kind of medical condition that can be a block to your psychic abilities. Another thing that happens because you're a dialysis patient.
Dialysis is a process through which waste products are artificially removed from the blood.
Your fluids go up and down. So sometimes you might see me on here, my face might look a little bit slimmer, but sometimes it might look a little bit puffier. Like now, because I definitely don't do dialysis on Saturdays and Sundays. So when you see me on Mondays, I might look a little bit puffier because I've probably got about 1 to 2 kilos of fluid on me, okay, that I wouldn't normally have. So with the fluid imbalance, yes, sometimes you can be a little bit dehydrated, just feel kind of tired, fatigue, and you don't really have the energy to do a whole lot, okay? And so one thing you don't want to do is get sick on top of what you already have, because if you think that you've got fatigue, like from dialysis treatments, becoming sick with things like the flu or pneumonia, those things can make you extremely ill to where you may not even be able to get anywhere but to the bathroom and back to bed. Another thing with the domino effect when it comes down to finances, and your entrepreneurs, which I'm an entrepreneur, my daughter's an entrepreneur, you can get backed up. People, like I've had clients who've had COVID, they've missed a lot of work, and it was really hard for them to just kind of get back on their feet when it came to finances and putting everything back together after COVID. Of course, we all know COVID shut down a lot of businesses, and it really affected the economy because certain markets that were thriving before, they kind of became a little handicapped. And so if there are people in one household and 1 or 2 or even 3 people get sick, it will cause like some kind of economic break in money management. So that's really another thing that you have to think about when getting sick. So if you can be proactive about something, or I don't know, just kind of take a moment to think about what you can do to prevent certain things rather than, wait for it to happen. You can use prevention as a way to dodge certain bullets. So honestly speaking, you would still get sick if you have the vaccine. The vaccine doesn't prevent you from actually catching COVID, but it does prevent you from having or from the symptoms impacting you on a greater level. I definitely think that is true. I don't take the flu vaccine, but I do get the pneumonia vaccine. And I think over time I saw that it did help, because before I would get like pneumonia every year after I had my kidney transplant. Oh, that's another thing. I've had a kidney transplant. So my immune system has already been compromised because, of course, I received an organ from a cadaver donor. And when you do that, they give you a lot of medication to suppress your immune system So it's really hard for you to fight off different illnesses. So after the transplant, I ended up getting pneumonia like every year. And so my nephrologist suggested that I get a pneumonia shot, a pneumonia vaccine. And I was like, no, I don't want to get that. He was like, no, you should get it. So I noticed after I got the pneumonia vaccine, I would get some type of respiratory infection, but it wasn't the same as when I was getting pneumonia every year. So it somewhat helped in the fact that it didn't make the illness as severe as it would have been if I wouldn't have got the vaccine. So I do look at that, and I count that an experience to know that vaccine does provide some kind of protection. And I've done a lot of research on vaccines, and yes, I do feel that there's somewhat a pattern of insanity, because instead of us figuring out exactly what it is that's making us sick in the first place, like how to prevent that actual germ, we all have to go to work and do all this stuff. So, some people opt to take the vaccine, without really looking into it. But I did look into vaccines, and I did see how vaccines helped people in Europe when certain illnesses broke out. It helped. It did kind of diminish how severe the illness became, and it diminished how many people got it. We don't know how long that's going to work, but for now, it's actually doing something to sustain our health. Maybe not more on a preventive level, but definitely it keeps or preserves certain, I feel like, time and energy, so we can do things like go to work and go to school or whatever. Well, like I said, I'm doing treatment and all so that I can still be here for my children and my grandchildren. So if I'm going to do dialysis for that reason, to me it made sense to get the vaccine as well. And I would say that would be important for people who have some kind of precondition and you have children, especially small children, because you wouldn't want to end up in the hospital for long periods of time or really get sick to where death is like knocking at your door or threatening to take you away from your children. Of course, it gets more intense if you're the main parent, like the head of household. Of course, the younger your children are, like people who have kids that are like 3 and 5. I mean, that's really important. While it may not be so important to people who have kids that are 19, 20, or even 25 or 30 years old. So it just depends like what role you play in your family. If you're a caregiver, if you're someone that, takes care of like your grandkids like I do, so that, his parents can make a living or, do certain things that they're trying to do so that they can be good parents and providers. Of course, I know there are even better reasons to take the vaccine for other people. Some experiences that I may not have had myself, but other people have. But those are my reasons for taking the vaccine. And if you have questions or comments for me, you can leave them down below in the comment section, and I'll be happy to come on and give you more information about the COVID vaccine. But that's basically my experience. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you know what to do. Thanks for watching.